Speaker, I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from New Jersey, my friend, Mr. Bill Pascrell.
The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the greatest respect for, sincerely, a good doctor. I think he's a reasonable man, a good person. But when you're explaining, you're losing. I rise in strong opposition to this legislation. After we learned last year about the inexcusable way the IRS evaluated applications for tax-exempt status, because that's what is at the heart of this issue, I was hopeful that we could have a bipartisan response. After all, it was not only conservative groups, as you've heard, that had their applications singled out solely because of words like Tea Party, quote unquote. No one's denying that. Progressive groups were inappropriately filtered as well. My Democratic colleagues and I were equally outraged by this behavior. We put it on the record. But those hopes faded quickly when it became apparent that my colleagues on the other side weren't actually interested in investigating this wrongdoing and fixing the problem. This bill is just the latest example how instead they are only concerned with scoring cheap political points. Where I'm from, in Paterson, New Jersey, we would call this Pyrrhic sophistry. That's what we would call it. Empty arguments. Deceitful. That's what that means. The examples the Republican leader pointed out could be under Section 527. But if you're under 527, you need to disclose where the money came from. So you choose not to be under Section 527 of the tax code. You'd rather be in another section. And what is that other section? You are not tax law, and you don't have to disclose who gave you the money. What is this, Russia? China? You heard the numbers. We're talking about billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. The difference? They'd have to disclose where the money came from. No evidence of any retribution has been found yet within either political party. So this is really a witch hunt. Unfortunately for the American people, it is the integrity of our electoral process here that's on trial. The fact is that the Supreme Court's rulings have legalized a torrent of hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate spending that has infected our elections. We ask again today, join us in correcting that decision by the Supreme Court. It has infected our legal process.
Additional 30 seconds.
The gentleman is yielded additional 30 seconds.
One of the most egregious newly legal big spenders are organizations operating as 501c4 tax-exempt groups. They could easily be under Section 527. We created a special section in the tax code precisely for tax-exempt political groups. No, they don't want to go under those groups. Because if they go under those groups, then they got to tell us who's contributing to them. Now, who's falling home? This is absolute chicanery. These regulations aren't some wild-eyed down the rabbit hole conspiracy theory to prosecute the president.
The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute. 1 more minute.
They are simply about preserving congressional intent and providing clear rules of the road for tax-exempt groups in the IRS about what exactly is political activity, so they know what is permissible under the law. This isn't about free speech. This isn't about being a Tea Party or a progressive. Spend all the money you want to say whatever you want about any election. Just don't expect to be able to do so while calling yourself a tax-exempt social welfare group. We're paying more taxes because these people are getting away with it. That's the bottom line. And you, I know, Doctor, are totally against that because you would not really, in the final analysis, prefer that some groups are better than others. those particularly who don't tell us who donated to the group. Thank you, and I yield back.